Welcome back to the couch. Okay, so for our first pranayama lesson, we're going to be learning about Ujjayi breath. I have done it before on my Instagram, but to me it's the most important one. Why you should be learning Ujjayi breath is just like, it's the one we use in our yoga practice. Like any asana, and a lot of times when you're doing meditation, you're going to be doing the Ujjayi breath. It's the controlled throat breath. And the whole point of the breath is to build up an inner fire, so you have locks at your base and your mouth, and you're creating an inner heat and inner intensity within you. And it's pretty easy, I think. I don't want to diminish it though. It's medium easy. Okay, cool. That's nice lady. So, Ujjayi breath. We are gonna start learning from the base up. That's just how we learn in yoga, because just like a building, you need to have a strong foundation in order to stand tall. So from our seated position, we're just going to start to locate all the bones that are involved. Take your hands underneath your seat. Hopefully you're on like a hard surface, like not a bed, but like a floor or the ground, just so that you have, I think you can't feel this if you're on the bed, but you're gonna rock back and forth, and you should be able to feel two bony bits on either side of your seat. Those are your sit bones. At the same time, we have our tailbone at like here, right at the end of your spine, and we have our pubic bone, which is like at the front of you, at the front / bottom of your torso. We have these 4 parts to the pelvic floor, and they all need to be coming together like a lock. So you should be imagining, and just by like visualizing this with your brain, that's the crazy thing, it starts to happen. You have the 2 sit bones working towards each other, and the pelvic or the pubic bone and the tailbone coming together front to back. So they all are like working towards each other and not letting any air escape. So that's your pelvic floor. That's step 1. Step 2, we take our peace fingers and just put it on our hip bones. That's going to be the bony part that you feel like around here. It's actually your pelvis, but we like to call them hip bones. So peace fingers on hip bones and just curl them in like a little claw right here. This muscle that you're feeling is called your transverse abdominis, which is not, we don't need to say it, like we're just gonna call this your lower belly. And we want to make sure that the lower belly is always engaged. So rather than, or in our practice being like, I hope you can see that, like out, you want to be nice and sucked in at all times. So that is that, and then we'll come up a little bit. Okay. Cool. Step 3, take the hands, put it on your rib cage. Take a nice deep inhale, filling up, exhale, emptying everything out. Probably notice the fingertips coming in and out. That just goes to demonstrate your diaphragm ballooning up and then getting like a reason. So just to review, step 1, we had our pelvic floor all coming together to create that nice lock at the bottom. Step 2, we had our lower belly engaged, and step 3, we have that in and out motion of the diaphragm. The last thing we're going to do is the actual like breathing part that you see. So you're just going to take your hand, put it out in front of you, and act like you're fogging up a mirror. Give it a nice hopefully your breath isn't too bad, and we want to remember that breath exactly how we're doing it. But with the Ujjayi, like I said, we need to lock our base and our mouth to keep the inner fire burning within. The fire burning within. So yeah, we're going to have a closed mouth through this. And with the closed mouth, tongue at the tip of the teeth, like so. And so you want to take your inhale deep, filling up the lungs. Exhale with the closed mouth. You should still have that same feeling of the breath that was like, it's just with the closed mouth. So the first one I got a little out the nose, but so all together, one more time, the breath is it is a little bit of an audible breath, like you should be able to hear it, but your neighbor in class, maybe your neighbor can, but the person next to your neighbor shouldn't be able to hear your breath. You don't want to be putting any pressure on like the vocal cords or anything. It's just simply that with the closed mouth. And that is the whole like 4-step process. So like I said, I think it's not the most difficult thing in the world. Give it a couple of tries on your own to implement this during class. You're supposed to be doing Ujjayi breath the whole time throughout your practice. Of course, that is a bit of a challenge when we're in like 3-legged dog and the hand is down here and the leg is up here, and like to create that like lock on your pelvic floor, maybe trying, but just always attempt it. Always, like, you're going to lose it at some times. Don't beat yourself up for it. Just when you realize you're not doing your Ujjayi, get back to it, you know, like, it's fine. And yeah, so that is our pranayama technique of the day. Day 1, very exciting, starting this off. When we go through, we'll be doing some sun salutation stuff tomorrow. And when we're doing that, just taking this lesson and putting it into that one and building up our skills as a yogi.